It's been a while since I played Rust. I want to say about 2 months, and I haven't been keeping up with it. And I've been getting a little bit of an itch to play Rust, but it can be a little bit of a grind. So I've been super busy with work, and I don't want to sink my time into Rust quite just yet. But I decided to take a look at the stuff that they updated, because usually they tend to update this game very frequently every Thursday, especially making big updates every month on a Thursday. And it's one of the developers or development teams that have actually been super consistent since the very early days of the game's release, and even before the official release. So it's just crazy how many things that have been changing throughout the years of Rust, how many things that have been implemented and add-in, things that they've been removing, and stuff that they've been just doing overall for what they think it's best for Rust. And they really haven't been afraid of trying new things, even if the feedback sometimes is negative, a lot of times it's positive. I want to say a lot of things that they have done I have enjoyed. There are a few things that I do miss from the old Rust, but nonetheless, doesn't mean that it's not like something that's super terrible to where it makes me completely hate the game, but it is a game that, for me, especially if you're just playing normal servers, vanilla, and you're not playing with like a big squad, and it's just like solo, if you're solo playing, or if you're just playing with one other friend, it can be a time sink to do everything by yourself, or everything even with another teammate, because you're going to be spending a lot of time doing certain stuff, because you're going to end up getting raided if you're building in a super populated server, and it's just kind of how the game goes. So it can be a super time sink, and I only tend to get invested in Rust whenever I have the time, like whenever I feel mentally prepared to sink that much time into a game, that I'm not busy with work, I'm not busy with like real life stuff. And honestly, if I could, I would spend playing Rust as much as I could, but like I said, it's just a lot of things that I'm doing outside of gaming that it's just not a possibility. So yeah, I decided to look into what they've changed, and honestly, this is something that I never expected them to do. It was something that I used to think about if Rust would ever implement this stuff, ever since they added NPCs into the game that really don't do anything except, at first they didn't do anything. Eventually they started adding like scientists that actually do damage to you, and then they started adding like the oil rigs and stuff like that. It's been a while since they've done all this stuff, but now they decided to implement missions, which I thought was pretty cool. And after work kind of slows down during winter, I'm probably going to be checking out Rust again. And I was reading, it says this month's update brings the foundation of the mission system, huge amount of quality of life improvements, a camper vehicle module, and much more. So they have a video shown, which I'll watch in a little bit, but I read a little bit through the page on their website, because they have a blog, and every time that they update the game, they put everything that they've updated, even the little fixes and stuff. And they've been consistent with their website, like just showing you what they changed with pictures and stuff. So it says, today we're introducing the first iteration of mission systems to Rust. You now are able to speak to various NPCs found around the world and receive a list of objectives you must complete in exchange for a reward. So now, instead of like the NPCs just being AFK, or the ones that shoot you, the scientists, there's going to be ones that you can actually talk to, and you're going to be able to do missions. Now, the potential for this can be huge. I can already see it, especially if they're going to implement it in the way that I think it's going to be implemented. So if it says that this first pass of missions are geared more towards players just getting started, but the system is capable of much more. We will be expanding on this in the coming months to include PvP missions, capture and hold, delivery, ambush, and eventually even bounty hunting. So this sounds very exciting to me. Like, imagine placing a bounty on someone who raided your base, and it's kind of like, it can be kind of like the vending machine exchange, to where like, if someone completes this bounty, you'll provide them with like 5C4, 5 rockets, whatever you want to give them. And if someone chooses to accept that bounty, then you give that to them in return, and they'll give you like confirmation somehow, depending on how the system works, that they've took care of that bounty. Because I'm pretty sure they can implement it the same way that they implemented the contact system, to where every time you come in contact with the player that either killed you or you shot at first or whatever, it shows up on the list as friendly, enemies, mutuals, like just different stuff on the contact list. That's pretty cool. So I can see this being in the same way, to where you can set bounties for certain things, or you can say that you want to raid a certain base and you're going to be providing a certain type of reward if they are able to provide that raid and destroy like this other team. So imagine like you're getting door camp and you're tired of your neighbors and you want to get rid of your neighbors. If someone's willing to raid them and you provide them a certain price, maybe they add a different type of currency system in the game that will make people, like for instance, scrap is some kind of currency that people are willing to maybe raid for. I don't know. It has to be worthwhile for people to want to use their resources, that it's worth it. Because the way that I see it, if I set a bounty to raid someone, why would someone raid someone if the bounty is less than what they're raiding for, right? And if the bounty is more than what they're raiding for, why wouldn't I just raid them myself? Because now I'm just using more resources to pay them to raid them, you know? So it's kind of counterintuitive to do that. But at the other end, it's like if I'm a solo player and I do have a lot of stuff to raid, but I'm just not confident in raiding by myself, I can pay someone else to do it with in-game currency of like C4 or scrap or whatever. I don't know. They have to figure out a way to balance this. Maybe it's not going to go that in depth. It's probably just going to extend to like kill this player and you get this certain amount of stuff. And I don't know if it's going to be based on the world that you're playing, like the server, or is it going to be like I can put bounties on different players in the game, or is it going to be based off like if this team or this Zerg or this player kills a certain amount of people, there's going to be a bounty on this person's head, and if you kill that person, you'll collect that bounty stuff that for, you know, killing them. So it can go many different ways, right? This last one, the latter sounds more likely, but I do hope that there's missions to where I can provide a certain amount of items that I can give to someone to be able to do a certain thing without being scammed, right? Because if you like go on a server and say, yo, I'll give you this much stuff if you raid someone, they're going to want the thing up front, right? But even if it doesn't work that way, I think it's still pretty cool that they're adding missions, because this gives a player like myself. I'm not a really PvP heavy type of person. When I play Rust, I like to build my base. I like to farm. Like all that within itself takes a lot of time as a solo player, like being able to farm and plant like your berries and make tea so you can be able to farm more and then be able to raid people, or be able to just make guns and roam around. Like there's different ways to play Rust. There's not just one particular way to play. And if you're really good at PvP and FPS games, you might be able to like just roam around and take people's items without ever having to do anything, right? But personally, like when I try to roam around, I find it boring for me, because like the only objective within my mind is like, I'm going to go for kills, or I'm going to go like kill farmers that are farming, when I feel like I could have just like farmed some wood, farm some, like, I don't know, like for me, scavenging and stuff like that is better. And if the PvP happens while I'm farming, that's the thrill that I get, not actually just looking for PvP. Like going around just looking for action and that's it. It's not really entertaining for me personally. But that's the beautiful thing about Rust, that you can play any way that you find entertaining. Like if you want to door camp people, if you want to roof camp people, if you want to go like mess with people who are farming, and you know, like why look for PvP when PvP is going to come to me anyways, right? Like if I'm farming, people are going to be hunting farmers, right? And then there's going to be farmers who are waiting to be hunted and then are going to defend and kill them back. You know, that's just more of a calm way for me to enjoy it. And it's not to say that I don't like FPS games or I don't like shooting or PvP. And in this game, I do. I just don't like looking for it. You know, since I know it's just going to happen regardless. Doesn't matter what server you play on, unless you're playing on a server that's just role playing or is like friendly. If you play on a vanilla server or like a Battlefield server, you're going to get into a lot of gunfights whether you want to or not. It's just bound to happen. So I don't really go out of my way to look for that. But it also says here you can find mission providers at most safe zones, and their tasks vary from catching fish or harvesting lumber to hunting sharks and uncovering hidden treasures. The mission system will be expanded upon over the coming months. We look forward to reading your feedback. So I think this is pretty cool and a nice implementation to the game. It's not going to change the game dramatically, but it's going to give a lot of people like myself something else to do on top of just farming and building. It gives us a little bit of a mission, and it gives us something in return for doing said mission. I don't know what we're going to get. I haven't played Rust, and I think this is already implemented 3 days ago, and I think it was a Thursday, right? Yeah, because they tend to update every Thursday. So they also have a video. I'm gonna look at it real quick. I'm not gonna have like audio playing, but I just want to take a look at this video, see what it's going to show. But I think it's pretty cool that they have like the whole mission system, like I said. And I wonder what happens if someone ends up killing you while you're doing your mission. Are you still like able to do that mission, or do you have to restart that mission, right? And from this video, it looks like it's just going to be simple things as of now, like harvesting certain animals, harvesting trees, underwater diving and opening up some boxes. And I'm curious if you have to go back and, okay, complete objectives in exchange for stuff, okay? But I wonder if you have to go back to the NPC that you talked to in order to claim the price that they were going to give you. I really have to look at other videos because I'm pretty sure people have already done this. And I wanted to play the update to where you can now get into like these underwater boats or something. I thought that was pretty cool. They're expanding on the underwater stuff to where you can actually explore. I think one of my favorite things was when they added the boats and they added the ability to actually farm like scrap and like just materials on sea. Because a lot of the times if you're farming the roads to get like scrap or just materials for like your guns or things that you need, it would be very chaotic. And I think a very safe way is like if you play a certain way, you're able to provide, like, you're able to get a boat basically and fuel. And it's a nice, relaxing, not only a relaxing way, but it's a safer way to sort of farm certain things. And I really like that because for me, it seemed to work out very fine. And I thought that was a cool addition to Rust in general when they did that. But yeah, there's really not much else to talk about besides that. I mean, I'm pretty sure they've made countless updates that I have missed. I think going down is one of them. Now, when you go down, you can actually move around. I think that used to be a thing before, and then they removed it. I remember when they used to kill you, you used to scream. And that was funny. I don't know why they added that. I think that was one of the worst like updates. It was funny, but it was like over exaggerated. Like they were just crying and screaming whenever like someone would go down, and it would be very distracting. Like they're dead. Why are they screaming like that? I don't know, but it was kind of a funny thing. I'm glad that they removed that. Now, there's a lot of fixes that they've also done that I'm reading here. Vehicles on cargo can now land on the cargo ship without your vehicle sliding off. Okay, so this is a big one for me. I didn't know they implemented this. Aim down sight sensitivity added a separate slider to modify sensitivity while aiming. For me, this is huge, and I'm pretty sure for a lot of people, it is big. I need to get on Rust just to check this out on like a combat server, because I'm pretty sure it benefits a lot of people. But for someone like myself who plays on a super low sensitivity, and even now I have a high sensitivity, because if I go too low, the overall sensitivity is the same. So for instance, if I go super low, it's going to be very hard to farm whenever, like, or even hard to turn in general, because my sense is so low in any like FPS game. And usually my ADS aim down sight is much lower than my hip fire sight. So in this game, if I have to either compromise between having it in between or having it super low. But if I have it super low, I'm not going to be able to turn around. But if I want to be able to aim precisely, I need to have my sensitivity a little bit lower when I'm aiming down sights. And that's a reason why it's a little bit hard for me to aim on Rust, because they never had aim down sights before. And I'm not very good at aiming if my sensitivity is even like a middle tier DPI sensitivity. And I play on like 400 DPI 0.2. And even then, I think it's perfect for hip firing, but it's way too fast for aim down sight. But if I put it to 0.1, being able to move around the map is very slow. And for a tactical FPS game like Counter-Strike or Valorant, I can play. But for a game like Rust, where I have to constantly be turning around to farm this tree, to farm these animals, to see like everything around me, it's kind of like Call of Duty where you have to look in a lot of places at the same time. I feel like I sacrifice my movement, but at the same time, I sacrifice my aim if I go too high. So I'm glad that they implemented this. I'm going to have to check this out just for a little bit later, probably tonight, just to see how it feels and find like a perfect sensitivity for aim down sight. I know there was a workaround where people did like a DPI to wherever you press a button, it changes, or whenever you aim down sight, it changes your DPI or sensitivity lower. And then when you unscope, it changed it to something else, but I didn't want to go through the trouble of doing it that way. It didn't really seem, I don't know, like fluent. And I'm glad that they added this. Now they have a skin search as well. Search for skins by the name and the repair bench and crafting menu. Okay. Item count, show the total count of items in inventory when picking up items. Okay. Large planter snapping. Large planters now snap into the center of foundation floors. Okay. That's really good actually. I always had OCD whenever I wasn't able to place them perfectly right. Okay, autofill code lock. Added a button to autofill the last code entered into a code lock. Okay, so this is very useful. So if I have one master code, I can just make all the codes the same by pressing the button. So that's pretty neat. Let me click at this picture. Okay, last. I like this. My keyboard doesn't have number keys, so it's perfectly fine. Rowboat. Boats are now right-sided up with one push. Horse dung. Horse now produce dung more often. Okay, that would probably be useful for fertilizer and stuff. Binocular zoom. Now start at the lowest zoom setting. Okay. Supply drop beacon. Supply drops are now activate a red beacon at night. Snap disabled. Okay, what is this going to do? Oh, I did something to the game. Oh, here it goes. Holding sprint now disables snapping on planter and high walls. Oh, so you don't know. Okay, so this kind of, if this is what I think it is, so now can you place stuff as long as you hold sprint? And that means you don't have to snap walls into place. That means I can place them like I'm going to have to test this out on a building server. But if it works the way that I think it works, this is actually huge because usually you were not able to place walls or even planters if you had to snap them a certain way. But I don't know, we'll see. Engine components craft. All modular car engine components craft reduced from 30 seconds to 10 seconds. Steam point system. So they're adding like a point system to where you can buy some certain stuff on Steam. Don't really care too much about this. But that's pretty cool. You know, they just keep adding some stuff. And then there's the Halloween update on October 28th. We'll be releasing a new mandatory server and client update to enable some new spooky features. And then I just get the improvements that they added in text form, things that they fixed, things that they removed. And then it just keeps going on to the next. And there's the comment section. You should have the ability to put flashlights on jackhammers for nighttime farming. I do agree with this. I think that would be super useful. It would give your location away for sure. But I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, because I think they intended you to be able to use the night vision. That's kind of how I go about it, right? Like I use my night vision to farm at night. So not only is it better, I think, but it doesn't give your location as much as a flashlight does. So I don't know if they're ever going to do that. That's cool to make it as an option though. I would probably still choose to wear night vision. But then again, you're vulnerable by wearing night vision, right? Like you can instantly get headshotted. But if no one else is wearing night vision, they're still not going to be able to see you unless they're like super close to you. Can you guys make it so we don't need half our TC to fix or repair cars? Agree with Chuck. Okay, bro, yes. Okay, still not a single word on ongoing issues with the Mac version of Rust. Why people playing on Mac. Okay, love everything on the update except the mission system. Okay, so this person doesn't like the mission system. Never complained anything about Rust, favorite game, but the mission system, nah, just keep the gameplay the way it is. Thanks. So people are going to have different perspectives on this and on any update that happens, right? Like there's some updates that I've disliked, like I said. There's updates that I really loved, and there's things that I wish they could go back to the way they were. The one thing that I do admire about Face Punch is that they're not afraid to try something, even if the community dislikes it. They leave it on there for a while, even with the quarry stuff that they had at it, and a lot of people disliked it. A few people liked it. I personally liked it, but it gave big clans the ability to be able to farm even more without even having to do anything at all. And it took a lot of space on the server. That maps had to be way bigger than what they were because, it takes up a lot of space to place one of those downs. But still, I like the fact that they try to innovate and add new things to their game instead of leaving it the way that it is currently. So I disagree with this person saying he loved everything except the mission system when he probably hasn't even gave it enough time. And it's basically just the beginning of what the system could be, and the potentials can be huge. And it's not like you're forced to do the missions anyways, right? The game still plays the same, I would imagine. And it's like just with an added implementation of choosing that you can do certain missions. It gives people more of a thing, like something to do, rather than just going around PvPing or farming, right? Like it gives another objective to someone who's not really that into Rust, but wants to do something or is barely trying to get into it. So I don't mind this. Even though Rust is a popular game on its own already, they don't really need to do much, but I still like the fact that it can still be open to a lot of other people to be able to come in and try the game from a new perspective. And please rethink the point system. Okay, this is just from the Steam perspective. All right, so that's everything on the blog of their update. So I just wanted to talk about it a little bit since I've been away for a while. I haven't made any new podcast episodes. I've been really busy with work lately. I've been playing like 1 or 2 games of WoW before I get off and like just head to bed. And I've been fixing a new room so I can move all my stuff in there and be able to do more podcast episodes and also be able to record in the YouTube videos. But yeah, I wanted to just touch on this topic a little bit on the mission system. So anyways, thanks for listening, and I guess I'll talk to you whenever I have time again or whenever something comes up. But I haven't been playing too much of any other games, so yeah. But anyways, have a lovely rest of your night or day whenever you're listening. Take care of yourself, be safe, and I'll talk to you in the next one. So yeah, bye.